Blessings. Welcome to today's law enforcement daily devotional. Today we're in Genesis chapter 33, 34, and 35. So I hope you got a chance to read up and let's jump right into it. I say let's jump into it. Let's look. Remember yesterday, this is kind of important. Jacob finally asked God for help. He finally reaches out to God and he wrestled with God. So he basically has started on his journey in his relationship with the Father. Today in 33, we see Jacob actually moving forward in this relationship, acknowledging God for all the blessings in his life. When he meets his brother, he tells him, "Man, all these kids and uh, these uh, these flocks and herds, this whole company of people was given to me by God." So he finally acknowledges that God is his God. He trusts God. So, we just, it's nice to see Jacob finally getting on board because he's one of the big patriarchs. He's one of the big three, as I call them. Uh, Now, in chapter 34, we start to see the stories of the kids. And they're just not all good. And it's part of the Bible and it's part of our history. But we see um, a little, not a little, we see rape going on, we see murder going on, then we see another act that we don't really know if it's rape or not, uh, with Rubian and Bilhah. But first, we see their sister, Dinah, is she's taken and raped by a king of a town. And it's not just some gigantic kingdom, but it's probably just one fortified city. And all the people of the city answer to this one king. Well, this king's son sees her, thinks she's pretty, whatnot, and he rapes her. The brothers don't take too kindly to this. Now, Jacob seems to be absent in this, and the absent father, unfortunately, is also a theme in the Bible. You would hope that our patriarchs in the Bible would be more of a reflection of our Heavenly Father, showing compassion, love, but yet being stern and showing justice in the way to go, teaching truth and righteousness. But we don't see a lot of that. We saw Aaron and his two sons. We saw Eli and his two sons. It goes on and on. We see eventually how Saul treats his son Jonathan and how David is kind of an absentee father with his kids and what happens with all that. So it's a very interesting story. But uh, so they take vengeance on this town and they kill everybody in it. They murder everyone in this town, which forces Jacob and his family to get up and leave. And kind of the turning point, um, if you will, there's still some bad things that are going to happen, but there's a turning point in chapter 35 where God says, "Get up and change your garments and move." Changing of the garments was an outward appearance of an inward change. Jacob is moving closer in his relationship with God, and he's starting to trust and follow God. And God says, "All right, it's time to get rid of your idols. It's time to change, and let's move forward." And so they do. They pick up and they leave. But the outward change is very significant because circumcision was an outward change of an inward change. It was symbolic of that inward change. And today, as Christians, we use that symbolism in baptism. We do the whole baptism thing as a symbolic change of an inward change within us. Here's the best way for us to think about it. When you got pinned with your badge, you were a civilian and a non-law enforcement officer. Then all of a sudden you've got the uniform and the badge and the ceremony, and from that point on you're a changed person. You're a law enforcement officer. So there's a lot of symbolism going on here, and I think it really can sink in for us if we can equate it to what we know and what we've experienced. So just think of that. He was Jacob up to this point. Then there's this change and he becomes Israel. Okay, for us it's like civilian, change, law enforcement officer. Pretty cool. pretty unique situation. Although it's not just unique to Jacob, we see God changing names a lot in the Bible, and it's always a significant event. And Anyway, let's move on. Tomorrow we're going to be in Genesis 36 and 37, so read ahead. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and you guys be safe.